What is up, Renegade Nation? Mark here from Renegade Supply Company, coming back at you with another installment of Renegade Raillery. So in today's installment, we're going to talk about fear. So what is it that you're afraid of? We all have fears, and everyone's fears are different. And I'm not necessarily talking about your everyday fears, okay? I'm not talking about snakes or spiders or clowns or heights or all of this kind of stuff. I'm digging a little bit deeper, and we're going to get a little bit vulnerable here. I'm going to open myself up to you a little bit more and tell you what my true fears are. Okay, so here we go. Pause this for a second and think about what your real fears are. And we're back. All right. You didn't pause it, did you? You don't listen. You're not very coachable. You need to be coachable. Okay, so I have two big fears that I don't know. I have lots of fears, but there are two things that really are important to me in this life more than anything else. Okay, my biggest fear, number one, is death, and I know that death is inevitable, but I hate it, and that's not to say that anyone really enjoys it. There are some people that have this strange sort of fascination with it. I get that. But for me, that's always been one of my fears. Since I was, a little lad, death has always been one of my fears. The life is too good. I don't want to give it up. You never know when you're going to go. It's inevitable. Okay, so that's one of my fears. But the one that I wanted to focus on more than anything, and I think that we all have this fear, and I think that some people let it motivate them and some people let it debilitate them, okay? And probably my biggest fear in life that I know that I'm in control of, death, I'm not necessarily in control of. I can do some things to put it off. I don't have to go and daredevil feats. I don't have to do those things to put myself in a position where maybe death will come sooner. Okay, and I don't do those things for the most part. The one thing that's in my control that I fear more than anything else is failure. All right, so now we're vulnerable. I've already spilled the beans about what it is that I fear the most, and that's failure. And now, for me, it's failure in this business. And it's not necessarily just this brand stuff. The brand stuff is a shot in the dark, and I hope that it works. And of course, I'm not looking for it to fail. But just failure in business overall is my biggest fear. Okay, so oftentimes, and again, I think that this is something that we all struggle with. Of course, nobody wants to fail, but some people maybe are a little bit more comfortable with it than others. Some people. And I'm not throwing off on you if you are this person, but some people are okay with never having like steadiness in a work world, if that makes sense. I know some people that have worked 30 or 40 jobs, and that's just not who I am. And maybe you're still just trying to find your niche, and I'm all for that. Go back to episode 1 where we talk about overcoming those fears, and jumping in and taking that step and that leap. But for me, it's failure. And a lot of times what happens is if I really sit and I think about what's going on in my life and what's going on in this business, and if I really get down to the nitty gritty, sometimes I question not necessarily if I'm going to be successful, but my ability to make it all happen. Is there enough time in the day to make it all happen? Do I have the knowledge and the resources to take it to the level that I know it can be at? People do this every single day. They're successful with it. Can I do that? Okay? And the answer for me has to be yes. I struggle with that quite often, and I was talking to a friend of mine, someone who in the next, hopefully in the next little while, he and I are going to build this like really cool partnership together, and he's gonna tackle some of my marketing stuff. And we were talking and he was like, dude, I have this thing in my head where I'm constantly questioning, can I do it? Even though I know deep down I can, but you have that little voice in the back of your head that's constantly just asking, not asking, but trying to put in that hey, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Maybe you should be doing something else. Maybe there's something else that you can do that's safer. But for me, I don't want to play safe. I don't want to be safe. So anytime that these thoughts creep into my mind, which inevitably they do, and they come in fairly often, they're short-lived, because I feel like for me, it can't be. I can't fail. I'm not gonna fail. I'm gonna do whatever I can to not fail. And I actually have a Latin phrase tattooed on my arm that I've used as sort of a motto for my business for the last few years, that essentially translates to, if I can't find a way, I'll make one. I'm not gonna fail, okay? So for me, I know that my work ethic is gonna carry me to the places that I need to go. I'm not gonna be out hustled. I'm not gonna be outworked. I'm gonna be on the grind longer than anybody if I have to be, to get to the point where I feel like I need to be. But I believe that this is the number one thing that keeps people from starting, whatever it is, whether it's a photography business, whether it's quitting your job and going out on your own, no matter what it is, the number one thing I think that keeps you from doing these things is fear of failure. And there are lots of other fears that, that could be in there. Maybe that you're just not good enough. The possibility's endless. But for me, it is fear of failure. And we got a visitor. This is Frey the shop dog. Yeah. So last week you got to meet the small pup, and today you get to meet the big pup. But it's always short-lived for me, and it should be short-lived for you, because if you believe in yourself, if you believe in your process, you can make it happen. So it's okay to be scared, and you should be a little bit. And it's okay. Again, we've talked about this. It's okay to fail. You may fall down a dozen times, you may fail a dozen times, but getting back up 13, that's what's the most important. So that's me making myself a little bit more vulnerable and telling you guys that, hey, I fear failure just as much as you guys do. The difference is that I don't let it keep me from starting, and I'm not gonna let it take it away from me. And in a lot of instances, I feel like that does happen. So thank you guys once again for watching. If you haven't done so already, go check out our new Instagram page, and when you have a new Facebook page now, renegadesupply.co. We have a website that'll be dropping in the next little bit. We're gonna have more updates coming. I'm finally gonna start to get to the point where I release some full designs so that you guys can see those. We've kind of kept it hush-hush until this point, but some full designs will be released on our social media pages here coming up in the next little bit. We're probably still a month and a half or so, 2 months away from dropping the entire line. So we hope that you're getting stoked about that. We actually are in collaboration with a couple of good friends of mine, a couple of fellas who run a podcast called the Beardy 5 podcast. It's a boatload of bullshit from two hicks with facial hair every single week. Occasionally I make a guest appearance on that. So if you're into, just two dudes sitting around in their basement and, shooting the bull and with no rhyme or reason about what gets talked about, it is phenomenal. So go check them out. You can find them on Stitcher. You can find them on the podcast app at the Beardy 5 Pod. They also have an Instagram page. Go search that up. So thank you guys once again for watching, and conquer those fears, man. If your fear is failure like mine, overcome that fear. Take that first step. Get out there and get busy living. Renegade out.